You're listening to Plants and Politics with Gina Bonanno-Lemos. If you're ready to hear the truth about both sides of the aisle, what's really going on in America, and how big money interests prevent change to keep you sick, broke, and desperate, then play on. Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. This is Gina. I had to come to you tonight with some absolutely unbelievable, shocking news. According to Newsweek, who's reporting on a ProPublica story, 12 Black Lives Matter protesters that were arrested during the demonstrations in Portland, Oregon, have been told not to attend protests as a condition of their release from jail. So this is just unreal. Protesters have been forced to sign a document, apparently, that's entitled Order Setting Conditions of Release. And as a condition of their release, the following sentence is contained within that document. It quote, "Defendant may not attend any other protests, rallies, assemblies, or public gathering in the state of Oregon." So some of the orders forbid protesters from engaging in protests just in Portland, but others require that they refrain from protests in the entire state. Other protesters that were not specifically banned from protesting were still forced to sign documents giving them an 8 or 10 p.m. curfew, which would prevent them from attending the nighttime protests, which have been going on every single night over there. And then still there are other protesters who were, quote, forbidden from being within 5 blocks of the federal courthouse where the city's nighttime protests are taking place. So according to Newsweek, the release orders were signed by judges from the U.S. District Court in Oregon, but they're not sure who inserted that conditional language into the document. According to ProPublica, a few of the documents did contain the language prior to being given to the judges. So that in at least some of the cases, the judges were aware that this was included, that this language was included in this document and a condition of their release. Several protesters told ProPublica, quote, that they felt they had to accept the conditional release or else remain imprisoned indefinitely. Many of the protesters facing these conditional releases were often charged with petty offenses such as failing to obey a lawful order or disorderly conduct. And here's how Trump and the feds are lying to the public to garner sympathy and support for these unconstitutional actions. In this report, it says that on July 21st, Federal Protective Service Deputy Director of Operations, that's a mouthful, a man named Richard Klein, said that 3 federal agents had been blinded by demonstrators who directed laser pointers into the agents' eyes. But ProPublica investigated and said that as of July 24th, the most serious injury detailed in federal charging documents was an agent who reported seeing spots in his eyes for 15 minutes after the laser attack. And guys, this is just one in a series of absolutely jaw-dropping fascist moments in recent weeks, or really just this week. I mean, what Trump is doing here is right out of fascist dictatorial handbook. But earlier this week, I mean, this extends to his supporters too, because earlier this week, Maria Bartiromo, who's a Fox News anchor, with a serious face, asked the acting DHS Secretary, Chad Wolf, why feds can't just arrest the leaders in these cities. You know, if they aren't doing what Trump wants them to do, why can't he just put them in prison like a good dictator would do? So you don't have to take my word for it. Take a look at the video.
Welcome back. We are back live with Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Secretary, we were just going through the situation in Portland. I want to get to the other major cities of our country and the violence happening there. But why can't, before we finish on Portland, why can't you just arrest the leadership in Portland because of their, ignoring what's really happening on the ground?
And then on top of that, so that was bad enough, right? Wanting to basically jail your opponents or people that you disagree with. Let's just throw states' rights out the window. I mean, if we're throwing out the First Amendment, we may as well throw out states' rights. I mean, who needs the entire Constitution? What's it for anyway in the era of Trump? But then just yesterday, I believe it was, this lunatic right-wing political commentator and quote unquote pastor, Rick Wiles, called for Trump to quote, put down the insurrection and to quote, put the hollow point bullets to good use. And yes, he's referring to, in most cases, peaceful protests in these cities. Most of these Black Lives Matter protests have been peaceful. They are absolutely ginning up support for this by making it out that these things are out of control, and by and large, they are peaceful. Most of the people there are peaceful. In fact, the majority of the violence and actual murders have been committed by anti-BML protesters and by right-wing lunatics like this guy. So take a look. I'm going to play the video for you because, again, you don't have to take my word for it. You can hear it right from the jackass's mouth.
Mr. Meadows, please tell President Trump that he is now in possession of the bomber bullets. 2 billion bomber bullets. You're in possession of them now. You got the bomber bullets. And you can put down the the insurrection. You can put it down. You have the bomber bullets in your hands. And you don't have to tolerate this anymore. They were purchased for the purpose of putting down an insurrection. Well, you got one. So put the hollow point bullets to good use and get out there and put down this communist revolution so the rest of us could live our lives peacefully.
So there he is in all his glory. And by the way, this is the same anti-Semitic nut job who said that the spread of coronavirus in synagogues is a punishment of the Jewish people. And he called the impeachment of Trump a, quote, Jew coup. The guy is so despicable, so vile. Again, this is why so many people in America have turned their back on religion, because it's filled with complete hypocrites, complete nut jobs like this who just twist the word of God and the Bible and use it to harm people. So, imagine if Obama was still in office, or imagine if this was President Biden and there were peaceful protesters marching in the streets asking for, I don't know, anything. And maybe anti-abortion protesters, maybe Second Amendment people. And if Obama or Biden sent in federal agents in unmarked vehicles to just snatch people off the streets, kidnap people off the streets without reading them their rights, without even telling them what they're being arrested for, which is what they call it. I call it abduction. I call it kidnapping. And they're thrown into a van, driven to someplace without being told what in the hell is going on or where they're at, and then being held until they agree to stop protesting. Imagine that. Imagine anti-abortion activists marching in the streets, women, which in this case, many of them are. The wall of moms is made of moms, made of women. So imagine women marching in the streets, demanding the end to abortion. And President Biden sends in his feds, sends in armed men with no identification, grabs them, throws them into vehicles, and holds them against their will without charging them with anything, and then will only release them if they agree to stop protesting against abortion. How pissed would you be on the right? Would you stand for it for 2 fucking seconds? No goddamn way. No goddamn way. If you're on the right, you should give a damn, because guess what? Come January 2021, it could be you. It could be you. It could be your fellow right-wingers. And those of us on the left, we're unlikely to speak up on your behalf. If you don't care about First Amendment rights, you don't care about freedom of speech, freedom to protest, if that's conditional, it's going to get ugly. It's really going to get ugly. Don't come looking to us to save your asses. Anyway, guys, just had to bring you that information tonight because it's really getting scary here in this country. And like I've said before, I did not want to have to vote for Biden, but this fascist dictator in the White House is forcing my hand. He is forcing me once again to vote for the lesser of two evils. And the lesser of two evils is someone who doesn't have these rabid, insane people calling for the shooting of protesters and the jailing of his enemies. So, oh God. Take care, guys. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.